Hey, founders, welcome back to another video on budgeting and those things we need to know to build the budget that we can bank on as a business owner. All right, today I wanted to pick up on where we left off last week, which was really better understanding what to pay ourselves as a business owner. Where do we get that magic number from? Well, today I'm going to add 4 additional factors that you want to take into account. I know the title is called 5 factors. One is obviously a fair founder's wage, which you are going to actually, let me just double back on that. It doesn't necessarily need to be a founder's wage, a fair market value wage for whether it's yourself or any employees that you're thinking of hiring. You're going to find those numbers through ZipRecruiter, Glassdoor, PayScale, lots of different apps and sites out there where you can actually get an assessment of what is the fair market rate that you would budget for in the market that you're currently in. Okay, that set aside, there's 4 additional factors that we need to take into account. Now, I want to just step back for a moment and talk about why we're talking about this subject today. And this is because many founders, specifically those that we work with, we know that a lot of founders are, despite them knowing that they have sales and that that the sales were coming in, they were cash flow positive, they were busting their butt to generate that revenue. At the end of the year, more often than not, 4 months after year end, when they're looking at their accountant prepared statements, that they realize there's no profitability. And founders go, well, where did the profit go? I worked my butt off. I know money came in, but it's disappeared. So profit typically disappears in the details. It's these little calculations that we forget to do. Hopefully, many of you are budgeting, but you may forget to dial in on these details, which we are going to talk about today, or at least 4 of them. So here's what we're going to do. We're talking about these additional costs, such as what we call payroll deductions, EI, CPP, WCB, vacation. So as you can sense, this call is geared towards Canadian founders, but regardless of what country you might be listening in from, know that your company likely has the same deductions. They're just called different things. All right. So let's make it super easy. And let's say that you've done your research and you have determined that the fair market rate for a specific role is $100 an hour. Now, most founders would say, okay, $100 an hour. I am going to then budget 40 hours a week. That's $4,000 a week. Maybe you're going times 52 weeks divided by 12 to get your monthly sum, but we're just going to keep it at $4,000 per week now to keep this really simple. Okay, 4 additional factors. So we think 4,000, but we actually need to account for this, where, again, depending on what country you're dialing in from, go get your numbers. But in Canada, we have what we call CPP, Canadian Pension Plan, EI, which is employment insurance. We also have to budget for vacations, and we need to take into account workers' compensation. Really, it's there to ensure the safety and insurance of the people, the employees that are working with us. So those are the 4 factors. Now, down below, I've put a chart, and there's a caveat to this chart. I've tried to keep it as simple as possible because it's a complex issue. Please, please, please double check with your bookkeeper or accountant or payroll software to make sure that you've landed in on the true amounts for your province, because each one of these numbers comes with what I call criteria. So who is eligible for it and who is not. It also comes with exemptions, right? So sometimes you're exempt a certain amount that you don't need to pay that amount for. And then the third is maximum. So when you reach a specific ceiling on that employee or those contributions, then you can stop. So each one of those numbers down below, again, broad brushstrokes. So double check those numbers before you start the budgeting process. Here's the next question I usually get from founders, where there's some confusion as to, a lot of founders think that it is the responsibility of the employee to make those contributions. It's actually the responsibility, at least in Canada anyways, of both the employer and the employee. So both parties are responsible for submitting their portions for CPP and for EI specifically. All right. So here's the math. Again, reach out to your bookkeeper, your accountant to get professional advice in this category. I'm looking to open up your eyes to realizing that that $4,000 amount actually isn't that. So let's just dial in on an example here in Saskatchewan. So again, every province is different. CPP and EI are federally regulated, so that's going to be the same. Again, different exemptions apply, but CPP is 5.95% for 2024. EI is 2.32. So on that $100, we're paying $5.95 and $2.32 just for those two deductions. Then we get into vacations. In Canada, we're looking at anywhere from 4 to 6%. Again, lots of criteria around this and tenure. And again, different rules apply if you've got salaried individuals. So again, lots of complexity, but I'm trying to make it simple. So I'm going to, like, let's just say that, and I'm going to take Saskatchewan's numbers because they're a little higher. I think we go from 5, and I didn't write it down, my apologies, but it's anywhere from, I think it's 5.6% up to 7.7 something percent. And then we've got WCB. Again, they can range from, I think it's 0.95% all the way to 2.65%, depending on the province that you're looking into. But if we were to do the math for a Saskatchewan employee, the broad brushstrokes, we thought we needed to budget $4,000 for that individual. As we start calculating the math here with all of the deductions in Saskatchewan, for those that are eligible, we would actually be looking at an additional $17.44 for that employee per hour. So when we look at the total sum, then it's $117.44 times 40 hours a week. That then comes out to $4,697 per week compared to our rough budget of what we thought was $4,000. Big difference. By the end of the year, we're looking at a difference of $208,000 to $244,275. That's where your profit goes to disappear. It's in those little details. There's 4 little details there, right? Your EI, your CPP, your vacation, and your WCB. Now, we haven't even taken into account bonuses and or perks. That's a whole separate video that we'll do another day. But for now, the bottom line is this. It is essential that you dial in on those details, those essential 4 additional factors, right? Plus your fair market rate so that you can keep and retain quality people, because if you're not dialing in now, you're just losing it off the bottom line. All right, that's Tanya signing out, just reminding you that you've got to know your numbers if you're going to nail them. We'll catch you on the next video. Bye for now.